Welcome to Bobbi's Kitchen. Today we're going to cook my famous meatloaf. And the reason that I say it's the famous meatloaf is because someone told me that my meatloaf is better than their mother's. So I'll take that as a compliment. So let's come closer and see what kind of ingredients we got. This is a really simple recipe. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to prepare and about an hour or hour and 15 minutes to cook. So let's see what we got. Okay, for our ingredients, I have 1 3/4 pounds of hamburger. A lot of times I'll do this with just nothing but hamburger, but with the price of it is. I opted for putting 1/4 pound, 1 1/4 pounds of turkey, ground turkey in this. We also have about 1/4 cup of diced yellow onions, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of ketchup, salt, pepper, an egg which we will beat, some more ketchup. We'll just kind of squirt that in there as we feel the need, and 1/2 cup of quick oats. So what we'll need for this is, of course, a loaf pan to put it in. You want some vegetable spray. Since there is sugar in the glaze that goes over the top of that, you want to kind of spray your pan so it doesn't stick really bad. And we have a big pan or bowl to mix it in, and also another smaller bowl for the glaze. And the reason that I do this is because I save some of it back, so if you want to put more on it after it's done cooking, then you can, because there's no meat products in there. You don't have to worry about food poisoning or botulism or anything. So let's get started mixing this up, and I'll move the camera. Okay, the first thing I want to do is open up my hamburger. Put the hamburger in the bowl. And also the ground turkey will go in. And I want to get a fork, and I'll just take this knife since I've used it already. Just want to take this knife and just kind of beat the egg up a little bit. So we're going to pour that in. We're going to put our quick oats, our onions. And I used a little tiny food processor. It's called a chopster on this. It's pretty handy. Just a little tiny thing, but it works great for chopping up like nuts and onions and things like that. And some salt. And some pepper. I like quite a bit of pepper. And on the ketchup, I'm guessing probably around 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup. Okay, I think that's good. Now let me wash my hands real quick and we'll start digging in this meat. Okay, before I get my hands in this, I'm going to go ahead and spray my pan with my cooking spray. I always spray over the sink so I don't get it all over the floor. Alright. So let's get in here and get this blended up. If you want to wear gloves when you do that, that's fine. Or even if you wanted to stick it in your mixer, it'd probably bend it up too, but for me it's just quicker and I don't have to dirty up any more dishes. I want to make sure that I get that turkey blended in good with that ground beef. Alright, I think we about got that where we need it. Just want to make sure the oats are worked all the way through. Some people use rice, some people use cracker crumbs, some people use breadcrumbs. I find that the oatmeal keeps it from being quite so dense, because I've seen meatloaf that, you know, you could build a house with the stuff. It's so dense, and I just don't like it like that. I've even put 2 eggs in this before and it made it too dense, so it's like, no, I ain't doing that. And if I have too much, I've got smaller pans, I can put some more in. Okay. And you want to keep from having it over full, because it will, grease will come out of this thing, even though it's got partial turkey in it. Okay, and I'm going to have enough for a little bit more. Okay, spray this one as well. It's just going to be a little pan. And this one I'm sure will come out of the oven sooner than the other one will, so I'll just have to keep an eye on it. I usually kind of go around the edges of it and kind of tuck the edges down. Okay. Do the same with this one after I get it packed in there. And I do recommend cutting the onion up relatively fine so you get it all the way through the meat. There's a couple of chunks in here that are a little big, but for the most part I would call it a fine dice or almost a minced onion. Okay, here's a secret to this. And the reason I do this is so when I make the topping, it runs actually down inside of the meat. Alright, let me wash my hands real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so that saw how long that took. It just real short and easy. And we're going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. So, I want my ketchup. I think my spatula went through the blender or the mixer and got chewed up a little. And our brown sugar. So now we're just going to mix these two up. And I'll probably add just a little bit of water, probably a couple tablespoons of water to this to thin it down just a bit. Okay, here we go. Alright, there's our first meatloaf. I don't know if there'll be any left over or not, maybe. If not, no big deal. Yeah, we'll just use it all. So like I said, sometimes I make more than this, and then you can have extra if you want it to actually put on the meatloaf at the table. So like I said, you just want to make sure that you don't put it in the same bowl that the meat was in. And these will definitely go on a aluminum foil covered cookie sheet. Just to make sure that they don't. If they boil over, then you don't have a gigantic mess. So 350 degrees for about an hour. You can kind of tell when they're done because they'll start to actually pull away from the sides of the pan. So like I said, we'll I'll put this in there and then you can see what it actually looks like when it's done. So 350 degrees for an hour. This one will probably come out at about half hour or 45 minutes since it is quite a bit smaller, and this one's probably going to end up being about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe a little longer. So, alright, I'm going to put them in the oven. And here is the meatloaf after it has come out of the oven. I do go ahead and put it on a rack in case there's any more fat on it that it'll drain off, but you can see the fat that's actually down in the bottom of that pan. So anyway, that way you don't get like a super greasy meatloaf. So anyway, we're going to slice this and put it on the plate, and then I'll show you the completed meal. And there we have the finished product. So, hope you try my recipe and enjoy it.